So we've got a spicy one that comes in from Blind Strike, which so it says, what do you think about many of Blizzard's writers being ideologically possessed feminists that openly hate their main audience, white cis males? Also, keep up the good work. To which I'm like, thank you for the super. I hope you can understand how that can be, a tricky and potentially, rough territory to wander into. I would say that I don't really think that is the case. I think there's a lot of frustrations that exist in an American context that I can't speak to because, Northern Ireland is pretty much as white as Japanese is, Japanese. An example, I think the numbers are roughly the same. So basically we're pretty heterogeneous, is that the one?
Yes.
Or homogenous? Well, whatever. Yeah. To the point where, as an example, actually, we're both half a Jaffas.
Yeah.
Where, in America, a mixed marriage means a very different thing to what it means in Northern Ireland.
We are two slightly different flavors of white.
Yeah, so in Northern Ireland, a mixed marriage refers to a Catholic and a Protestant parent. Now, they don't necessarily have to be practicing Catholics and Protestants. That's far more of a cultural thing.
Yep.
But I just say that to explain how we live in a completely different cultural context, and I do not pay attention to what's going on in America because I've learned that that's not a great thing to spend your time doing. I believe that is probably more in reference to a few tweets from Madeline Rue, which, those certainly seemed extreme and counterproductive tweets to me.
Yeah.
I, though, think that those were tweets made on a personal account that are not representative of Blizzard.
And I also believe there was and this isn't to defend them because obviously it was, I believe they probably qualify as hate speech realistically, but they were made in I believe looking at them, it was a tremendously emotional moment and someone just, spoke out at a bad time. You're like, shouldn't have said it. But
yeah, it's maybe the same point could have been phrased in a way that was less inflammatory, and then everyone would have been happier, and we wouldn't have had. Because I'm pretty sure Asmongold reacted to that, and then it exploded, and then the quartering got on it, and it was just a whole big thing. And I looked at all that at the time, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'd rather talk about the game and stuff." I don't want to talk about American politics. I'm not from there.
I guess what I'm trying to say is they're probably not entirely representative of the amplitude of one's views if there was a spike in that feeling at a moment in time.
Yeah.
The baseline's probably significantly lower, and attributing that to others, I certainly wouldn't be comfortable with.
I don't think it's something that's impacted the game or anything. There's some newer efforts to be a bit more inclusive of stuff.
Yeah.
Grand. I don't think it was ruining anything. And there were some people brought that up, I remember, in response to Sylvanas beating the Lich King. We're like, oh my god, Sylvanas came in here and she beat the Lich King. And you're like, yeah, but the canonical reason is that she's using the Jailer's magic, the magic that actually was used to create the Lich King. Of course she will tear him a new one when she is wielding the power of the Lich King's creator. So yeah, it's one of those things, I guess. I don't really see it going in there, ruining the game. If anything, I'd sometimes criticize Blizzard for being a bit tropey with their female characters.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're ideologically possessed feminists, they really could be doing their female characters with a bit more justice.
Yeah, they could be doing a better job. I think.
I think there's a little bit of American culture and cultural progression that'll bleed into it over time as they have new staff and also as that staff is experiencing more viewpoints. But very little I would categorize as openly hate or anything of that coming through in the game, at least not in a major way. Maybe minorly, but I guess that's because, if
it is, I've not noticed.
Yeah,
so.
If you go from Metzen's entire, especially just given the age bracket, Metzen's older, different life experiences, different ideologies, different culture growing up in. Things are going to change.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, Rebusor says Bellular is a Protestant, right? No. And remember, whenever we talk about this, because I'm assuming he's from Northern Ireland as well, this is going to be very different from what, being Protestant means in an American context. So over here, Protestant is highly correlated. It's actually very interesting history. Protestant is highly correlated with being a loyalist, which means Northern Ireland being a part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, underneath the Union Jack. Whereas, being Catholic is really more being a Republican. It's not like we fought the Troubles over having theological disagreements and transubstantiation.
Yeah.
Whenever me and Matt can jokingly say that we are half a Jaffas, it's half of a Jaffa cake. A Jaffa cake you cut in half, it's called orange filling.
Yep.
So it's kind of like saying, you're half orange.
Yep.
And I think that's probably something that, at least, I was called a half a Jaffa jokingly, but in a Catholic school, which was kind of like, you've got some orange in you.
Yeah. Same, but the other way. Same, but in a Protestant school.
Yeah, so it's all fine, and I think our culture is, I think advancing away from those bad things.
Yes, that stuff is largely a relic of the past, although so are our political leaders.
Yes, they are. Edwin Poots, young Earther, is now our leader. Oh dear.
Oh, there's.
Oh dearie me.
r/Northern Ireland had a very fun picture representing all of his views on hot topics, and they're fucking wild. Like,
yeah.
Young Earth, homosexuality, the lot. Like, he's not a.
That's I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe Edwin Poots could take up writing for World of Warcraft. Make a few people happy.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Don't think Madeline Rue and Edwin Poots would get on. I don't think many reasonable people in Edwin Poots would get on.
Yep, that's for sure.
But no, we shall perhaps cease bewildering our mostly American audience and British audience. But I mean, as I think we all know here in Northern Ireland, we know the Brits don't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
And pretty much generally seem like they'd rather not have us around. Which, I mean, we seem like a bunch of bother, so I can hardly blame them.
I don't look how much money we generate as a country.
I feel like we're getting more than we're sort of putting back into the pot.
Oh, fucking leeches.
For sure.
Like, oh, Christ.